What's up guys, Paladin Cross Rider here, and today I got a Blau deck profile for you. This is my friend's deck, and he lent it to me this week to playtest a little bit and do a deck profile for you guys here, so let's get started. Got one Blau Younger. You use this one over the V1 because this is a very piece-reliant deck. If you do not get your pieces, you are going to lose. So you play this one and its skill. When a card with Blau Panzer rides this unit, search your deck for up to one Blau Kluger, reveal it, put it into your hand. So you just want the grade 1 and you automatically get the grade 2, which sets up the rest of the deck. For triggers, we run 6 crit. 2 of them are Sentinel because we are trying to win quick in this deck. By turn 3, you should almost have the game finished by then. And crits are just going to push your opponent even harder, so that's why you run 2 of that. And 4 of the stride crit, because in this deck you need your grade 3s in order to pull off certain strides, so it's better to discard these over your combo pieces. Then 2 perfect guard. You don't need to fully max out on crit. While they help, you also need to play against certain decks that are able to make big columns, and you have to be able to perfect guard them. So 2 perfect cards. Run 3 Energy Girl. There are certain cards in this deck that require you to restand your rear guards, and Energy Girl just helps extend your combos out slightly so you can get better results with those cards. 4 Heal Guardians. These are pretty much a staple right now. You run this because if your opponent tries to push early game, you want to be able to have the ability to deny them an early push. Then 1 over trigger. You play this. You do not want to play the trial deck one, trust me. This is the best that any of the nations got for over triggers, because you give the 100 million somewhere, and then you double the power and critical of all your front row rear guards. So in a multi-attack deck, this card can just steal a game easily. I've gone from 0 to 6 in a single turn because of it. For grade 1s, we have 4 Blau Panzer. You run the V1 here because it searches out more of the pieces that you need to ride into your grade 3 and get the optimal setup. So this card does have an errata on it. It says when you ride from Blau Kluger, and it should instead be Blau Younger. So that's the errata. But when you ride from Blau Younger, you look at the top 5 cards, search for up to 1 card with Blau in its card name and add it to hand, so you have a chance of getting your pieces. And then its other skill, when it's placed on rearguard, you can discard a trigger from hand to fetch a grade 3 with Blau in its card name from your deck. So this is, like I said, another piece that you have to ride. But if you call it to rearguard later on, and you have Blau Kluger as your vanguard, you can get that grade 3 that you need to go into your big push turn. Then we got 4 Riema. This card, it's when placed on rearguard, you have a Blau Vanguard. If you have more damage than your opponent, you can countercharge and soul charge, and then GB1, put it into soul. When your Vanguard with Blau in its card name hits, you can pay its cost and then draw a card. So solid card overall. 2 Morgenrot. This is to be played against decks where they know to attack into certain pieces, or they can retire your pieces. At the end of your turn, you can retire this and then bounce a card with Blau in its card name to your hand from your rearguard circle. So good card, but you can only afford to run 2 because it doesn't extend your combos much. 4 Riser Custom. You have certain cards that restand, and this card, if it's behind those cards, they will restand with them. So it just makes all your attacks a little bit more threatening. And then if you happen to ride this accidentally, like you didn't get your other grade 1, then you can go into this and swing if you're going first. So for grade 2s, we have 4 Blau Kluger. This is the main ride of the deck. So when he's placed on Vanguard Circle, you counterblast 1. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a card with Blau in its card name and add it to hand. And then on Rearguard, at the end of the battle it attack, if you have a Vanguard with Blau in its card name, you may move him to Soul and draw a card. So on grade 2 turn, if you ride one of him and you have multiples, you can call them down and have a little bit of a push. Or if you don't ride him and you go into your grade 3 turn and then you see him, you can still afford to attack with him and put him into Soul. But either way, you have to get this card into Soul to have this deck work. Then we have 4 Brutal Jack. This is the card where I think you can cut down on this for another card, make it a 3 of, but his ability is he gets 10k during your turn. He cannot stand during the stand phase, and then in the main phase once per turn, you can rest 2 rearguards and re-stand him. So, kind of a big cost. You can offset it by resting things like Energy Girl, who goes back in the deck anyways, and you don't really need to use her for an attack or boost. But yeah, do this as a 19k attacker on an Excel Circle, swings for 24, so good attacker. Then for Regio Blau, this guy, I would say this is what you want to take out a Brutal Jack for, because this card can steal games under the right conditions. It's Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When your grade 3 Vanguard with Blau in its card name attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, restand this unit and give it 2k. It's not limited to once per turn, and in this deck you do have Vanguards that can swing multiple times. So if you swing with your first Vanguard and happen to get a crit or a heal or draw something, you throw it onto this guy and all his attacks become more threatening the more attacks you can perform with your Vanguard. So I would run 1 more just to see it, but my friend likes 3. Then for grade 3s, we have 4 Stern and 4 Galaxy. You ride Stern first, you get your Excel Circle, and then if you have Blau, Kluger, and Soul, all your grade 3s with Blau get 10,000 power. Same with Galaxy here, they both share that skill. But Stern, at the end of the battle, he attacks, you can discard 2 cards, choose a Galaxy Blau Kluger on Rearguard Circle, bind it, then ride it as stand, and it gets drive -1. So you ride into Galaxy, you get another Excel Circle, making you get 2 Excel Circles per turn. And then when he attacks, you can counterblast 1 and call Stern Blau Kluger out from Soul, and you'll have -1 drive because of Stern Blau Kluger, but you're able to get the plus, and he'll have the additional 10,000 power because you have Blau Kluger and Soul. And then if he is rode upon by another card with Blau in its card name, you can call him from Soul to Rearguard. So the play of the deck is you ride this, you call this, you ride it over by using the skill in the battle phase, call this out. You can use Morganrot to bounce this back to hand, or if you have another one in hand next turn, you ride it, you call this out, and you do it again. And you keep looping your Vanguards around that way. Because of the multi-attack, it makes this grade 2 really good. And yeah, these 2 together can win a game without even striding, so pretty powerful cards. Then for strides, we have 2 Blazer and 2 Sony Blau Kluger. These guys kind of have the same skills. This one's Limit Break 4, Counterblast 1, and discard 2 cards. Choose a card from your hand that's a grade 3 Blau, and at the end of the battle that it attacks, you pay the cost and ride that grade 3 as stand. So it allows you to get more multi-attacks, and you get an Excel Circle because you rode. And this one, it's Counterblast 1 when it attacks. If you have a heart with Blau, you get to search your deck for a grade 3 Blau, add it to hand, and then Limit Break 5, you choose 3 cards from your hand and discard them, and then choose a grade 3 Blau from your hand and ride it as stand. So like I said, these 2 have the same ability, just different cost and different conditions. If you're at Limit Break 5 and you have the piece in hand, then you don't need to fetch it with this. So you should just go into this, because if you hit a heal trigger and you go down into 4, this can no longer proc, but this can still keep going off. So, but if you don't have the piece in hand and this is your best option, and you're at limit break 5, you should go for him and hope you just don't hit a heal trigger. So, great cards. They synergize really well with the deck. Then 2 Meteor Kaiser Victor. This card, it's for some on-hit pressure. It's not too necessary. You don't use it too often, but every once in a while, if you can't commit a proper field, or you didn't get your pieces all together, this card is good to go into until you're able to get it functioning. 1 Favorite Champ Victor. This guy can steal games. Yeah, there's not much to say about him. If you haven't played against this card before, you're very fortunate, and I'm jealous that you never experienced the restanding power that this card has. So, 1 Winning Champ Victor. This is in those odd matchups where your opponent played a tech choice like Hanali that prevents you from multi-attacking and you need to get multiple attacks off to win, or it's just going to be too annoying the longer the game goes on. You play this, it's their lowest valued card on the field, and he's going to retire that card. So he is there, I would say, strictly for the Hanali cards. But yeah. 1 Universe Ace Bustard. Victor's build, you use this kind of as your first stride, but in this build you use it more as a finisher. If you have the field to keep restanding stuff, you go into this, you increase the drive, and then if you increase it enough, you can restand this card by discarding 3 and minusing it 5 drive. So allows for a little more pressure with drive checks. We got 1 Aspidog. Not sure if I pronounced that right, but this guy, because you produce so many Excel circles, if you go into this later in the game and you have a full board and you attack with everything first, then you attack with this, counterblast 1, restand every card in your front row, and then you give it 5,000 power for each card restood. So when I was playtesting, I did happen to use this card 1 time, because I didn't stride, I just went into grade 3s, and this guy just stood a field of 6 front row rear guards and won the game. So then 1 Zeroth Dragon Stark. You don't really ever go into this. This is on that weird turn where you need to kind of wrap the game up. Your opponent might have wiped your board somehow. You don't have enough cards in your hand to commit. And you go into this and you try and steal the game back with 3 big vanguard attacks. And yeah, otherwise you don't go into it too often, and he's mostly just unflip fodder for other cards. 1 Air Elemental to discard a card and draw a card. Kind of helps try to correct some bad hands. So you play 1 of that. Then you play 1 Meteor Kaiser Gunraid and 1 Unior. These are 2 of your countercharge options in the deck. This guy, he unflips another G-Guard, and then every time for the rest of that turn that your opponent fails to hit your Vanguard when they attack it, you countercharge 1. And Unior here, if you don't have a soul when he's placed, you soul charge 2 and give it plus 5,000 power, which never comes up in this build. And then if you don't have any counterblast for its other skill, you countercharge 2 and then plus 5,000 power. So you play that in order to get your counterblast back. So this deck is very free with the counterblast cost, because it easily gets them back with G-Guarding. And then the last 2 cards of the G-Zone are Meteor Kaiser Doggin Titan. This guy's the big shield value of the deck when you need to G-Guard. If you have less rear guards than your opponent, then you give him 10,000 power, and when he's face up in the G-Zone, you can Soul Blast to turn him face down. and you either countercharge a card or you choose a circle and unflip any face down card on that circle, so locked units. So this gets you out of the Link Joker matchup pretty easily, allows you to attack with your rearguards still, and if not, and you weren't able to use these guys, or you used them already, it allows for additional countercharging, or you can use it with cards that unflip things in the G zone and flipping back face down for the countercharge the following turn if you have too much. So that's going to be it for the deck profile, guys. If you enjoyed this deck profile, make sure to like the video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below and I'll respond as soon as I can. Otherwise, I highly recommend you build this deck for yourself, you try it out. It's pretty cheap and affordable compared to other decks that are currently out there, and it's pretty powerful. You'll definitely get a bang for your buck. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.